The brisket flat now is resting in the cooler for 4.5 hours, which is great. It's still nice and toasty warm. We're going to remove the paper. You can see on the flat, the lines of the grain. We want to cut across the grain. So I'm going to start cutting at this point across the grain with a very sharp knife. Everyone's different how they like their brisket. I like to think for competition, a pencil thickness is good for a brisket. So we're going to start here, cutting across the grain. And again, you can use an electric knife for this. A couple tricks. If your brisket is undercooked, cut it thinner. It's going to be more forgiving. If it's overcooked, cut it thicker. I want to show you something. It doesn't get much better than that. Look at that smoke ring. It's beautiful. Also, the big test is the finger test, right? So this end is a little bit overcooked because it broke, but I know that as we get further in, it'll get better. And typically in a box, I like to put in 6 to 8 slices. I don't really like sauce on my brisket. But seriously, look at that. It's absolutely beautiful. Pit Boss really does it well when it comes to smoke rings and smoke in the meat. Judges, when they have your brisket, there's a couple things they look at. They kind of pull it apart. If it falls apart real easy, it's overcooked. If it's like an elastic band, it's undercooked. My favorite way to tell if my brisket is done right is the finger test, where it just drapes over your fingers and holds together. And this is perfectly cooked. I talked about the two muscles on the brisket, the point and the flat. The point has a lot of fat in it. You can see that in there. Always cut against the grain. This is going to run differently than your point, so you have to look for the striations. So you're not going to be cutting lengthwise like this. You're going to be cutting across. Even though they're shorter pieces, that's the way you cut your brisket. Look, again, beautiful smoke ring, very tender. Beautiful bark, Texas style. And now we're going to get into the burn ends. Steamy hot. For a brisket box, just for competition's sake, I'll tell you, I like to have a minimum of 6 slices. I like to angle them like this so you can see the smoke ring. Take note, I injected the brisket and there are no injection marks on here. And as I showed you, that technique is to draw out your injection needle, and that will help from getting you those puddles or pools that you really don't want to have, because there'll be like gray dots in there. And the judges will pick up on that as well. So I'll place these in the box like that. I'll pick out my favorite burn ends, and I'll put them at the base. I always put a minimum of 6. Sometimes I'll throw in an extra for good luck. And that is my competition brisket. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Blue Ribbon Barbecue. And for the recipe, please see description below.